be faithful to the cult. That's how you've gotten your wealth, and that's how you will keep your wealth. Hey folks, welcome to Joel Reads Bible. I'm Joel, and I read Bible so that you don't have to, and we're reading Deuteronomy chapter 8 today, so stick around to the very end when I tell you what I loved about this chapter and what I loathed. Hey, look, I might love the whole thing and loathe nothing. More likely loathe the whole thing and have to lie about what I love. But hey, look, I'll lie just to add a little bit of positivity, but I'm not going to lie like a Christian. I'm not going to lie and go, it didn't mention slavery. It meant friend. It meant butler. It meant, I wouldn't do that. I'm not really sure where we are and what's going on in the grand scheme of this book. Moses is recounting things that have already happened and kind of reminding the Hebrews that they're going to go kill a bunch of people. If we were to put all the I'm going to give you land, make you a great nation, we're going to kill all the Azites, it would be like probably half of this book, maybe even more. It's not so much a theme as it is an obsession. Like it just never ends. And yeah, it's boring and it's tiresome. And then like if you add in there the tabernacle stuff, that's like 3/4. And then anytime Yahweh kills someone, that's the rest of it. And then there may be a sliver of like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Don't murder people, Let's get into this now. Deuteronomy chapter 8. You shall observe and do all the commandments which I command you today, that you may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers. You shall remember all the way which Yahweh your God has led you these 40 years in the wilderness. Okay, so it's the end of the 40 years. Now we get a bit of a timeline. So we are here at the end of 40 years and we're getting all jazzed up to go into Canaan and kill everyone. And they're just like repeating everything over. I think this is like that brainwashing, right? Like you have this hypnotizing. It's like say it over and over. Yes, we will kill them. Yes, we will get the land. Yes, it was sworn to our fathers. Yes, it was sworn to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's that kind of thing. That he might humble you, to test you, to know what was in your heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not. Doesn't make sense. He was leading them in the wilderness for 40 years to test them. This is where we get that testing thing. An omniscient God testing his people to know what is in your heart. He can't just read their hearts. He has to test them, whether you would keep his commands or not. And who's he testing? He's not testing like all of them. They're not all 40 years old, right? Because they started at that certain point and all the people that were there are dead. So maybe there's some 20-year-olds. He's been testing them for 20 years to see if they'll follow the commands. Some 10-year-olds, some 5-year-olds. Then there's like a bunch of ones that are going to be like over that, right? So there's going to be people of all sorts of ages, but none older than 40 years. They're all 40 years and younger. If the story is to be believed, and there's still 2 million of them, they just like, just like brand new people, took out that one, put the new one in. And so he's testing them. And what you kind of get from this is that the people he's testing are just like one guy. Like they're all one guy. Like they're not like a bunch of different people. They're one guy. And that guy dies and comes back to life in part throughout the 40 years, but it's just one guy he's testing. Just you, not you and you. I'm just testing you. And it's so funny because if you talk to Jewish people and you go, oh, what do you believe? What do Jews believe about this? They'll be like, Jewish people aren't a monolith. Judaism isn't a monolith. Yeah, maybe not to you, but to Yahweh you are. You're just you. There's no all these neat ideas, different people, whatever. I'm testing all of you at one time or over 40 years because I don't know what's in your heart. So I got to test that just to see what's going on and see if you'll keep my commands or not. I would say that it's Moses getting it wrong. This is the type of passage that, like, I could bring it up in a debate, but Moses is saying it. If God was saying it, game over, because it's God going like, I don't know what's happening. But Moses just doesn't realize that God is omniscient. And I don't know that he should, because I don't know that God has ever shown him that he's omniscient. Like, for instance, I don't think an omniscient God would react the way that God reacted in the golden calf debacle. Right? He got really, really angry. He was going to kill everyone. And then Moses convinced him not to. And he said, fine, I won't. And he changed his mind. Like, that doesn't seem like a God who knows what's going to happen and is going to do what he's going to do the whole time. It seems like a guy that doesn't really know what's happening. He reacts really quickly and then he changes his mind, just kind of like a person, right? For Moses to sit here right now and be like, I think God was testing us, right? Just to see what we would do. That's reasonable for him to believe. And it's reasonable for anyone to believe that reads this book. Not that God exists, of course, let me just make that clear, but that God is not all-knowing. And by the way, if God is not all-knowing, he's easier to believe. Like, then we can get our head around, like, the suffering and all that stuff. All you have to do is make God more human, and he's more believable. Completely unnecessary, no evidence, no reason to believe in him. But at least you can get a little bit more traction with a flawed God. It's just not how those classic theists want to define God, unfortunately. He humbled you, allowed you to be hungry, and fed you with manna, which you didn't know, either did your fathers know, that he might teach you that man does not live by bread only, but man lives by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahweh. This is a huge deal. This is like the love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength or whatever. This is also, I'm sure, going to be coming back when Jesus is around. Like, what could they possibly be referencing here in Deuteronomy chapter 8? What are the words so far? Like, we can read them all. They have quotes around them. We can go back and we can read what those words are. He's going to make you a great nation. Thou shalt not murder. Don't have any gods before me. Right? This is what men live by. They're also going to live by selling women into slavery for life, owning slaves, foreign slaves for life. Words that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh. Every word. Not just some of them. Every word. Kill the bulls. Kill the goats. Burn their dung. Don't mix fabrics, guys. These are the unclean animals. These are the clean animals. Cloven hooves. Chewing cud. Every word that brings you life. That's all we have so far. This verse is from here and back. We can go forward. We haven't gotten the one where you're supposed to marry the person who sexually assaults you. We haven't gotten to the stoning of virgins. Oh yeah, we got the drinking the bitter water to induce a miscarriage just in case someone's cheating. You know, we have all of that stuff. And that's all Yahweh's words. Okay? This is all going to be Yahweh's words. Yahweh. I don't know if Jesus is going to count because Jesus isn't Yahweh. It's used by Christians to speak to the beautiful words of Jesus, which, what are they? Stuff about the kingdom. Man lives by every word. And I just want you to go back and watch the back episodes. What are the words? They're gross, guys. And it's every one. We can't cherry pick them. We can't cherry pick the words that man lives by. That really sucks. This verse this verse makes it all suck even more. Your clothing didn't grow old on you, neither did your foot swell these 40 years. You shall consider in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, so Yahweh, your God, disciplines you. I don't think so. Unless the dad is like particularly abusive. You don't see a lot of dads killing some of their kids for not being happy at the dinner table that they're having plain bread again. You don't see that very often, you know. You don't see them capital punishment for questioning authority. Because I said so, now you're dead. Yahweh is particularly abusive and particularly aggressive. And it's a great way of doing that. Like when people use that analogy to say, look at these parents. Like, don't parents need to discipline their kids? Teach them and maybe give them some consequences, you know, just to steer them in the right direction. No more screen time, you know, that kind of thing. Or positive reinforcement. Has anyone ever tried that? Has anyone around here ever tried that? The positive reinforcement for Yahweh is things will be normal. It's like you do your chores, I'll feed you, you'll have dessert, and then you can get to bed on time. Just make sure your homework's done. If you don't follow the rules, I'm going to kill you with your dessert. I'm gonna take this flan and drown you in it. Is anyone having some flan? Is it flan or flan? I feel like flan sounds stupid, but we have something magical here. Your clothing didn't grow old on you, neither did your foot swell these 40 years. Whose clothes? There wasn't someone wandering for 40 years. They started like new people. He's talking to brand new people. One of them's 40 years old. A few of them are 40 years old. They're all different ages. They've gone through all sorts of clothes. They had to grow up. Unless there's like a bunch of people standing there with the tightest clothes and they're all like just ripped onesies that they wore when they were kids. Or maybe because they all have like robes. They're just really skin tight robes. They all look like tube dresses on them or whatever. They're like, thanks, Yahweh. Yeah, no, it hasn't grown old at all. It still fits like the day I was born. So thanks for that, you know. And everyone's like, yep, circumcised, you know. It would be nice if they could just like get their memories wiped. And now I'm going to wipe your memories. You guys all proved yourselves to be faithful or whatever, because I wasn't sure that was going to happen. Kill everyone, kill all these confused people, and then wipe your memory. Welcome to the new land. You don't have the PTSD. You don't know how you got here, but you're living in someone else's house, and it's full of really nice stuff. So enjoy. You shall keep the commandments of Yahweh your God, to walk in his ways and to fear him. For Yahweh your God brings you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of springs and underground water flowing in the valleys and hills, and a land of wheat and barley and vines, fig trees, pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey, a land in which you shall eat bread without scarcity. You shall not lack anything in it, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you may dig copper. You shall eat and be full. You shall bless Yahweh your God for the good land which he has given you. You don't really want to walk in Yahweh's ways because they're scary, you know. You don't want to be that brutal. It doesn't mean to be like Yahweh, obviously. It means to do whatever Yahweh says and be scared of him. And you will be scared of him because you'll be like, look at what he made me do. And it's just like stoning your daughter, right? And that's brutal and certainly scary. But what a trade-off, because what a beautiful, good land, right? Water flowing into valleys and hills is a very beautiful description, except for the pomegranates, because that's the dumbest fruit in the world. I know that that's probably just like the fruit in the area, but like imagine mangoes. God is still torturing them, even with the fruit he's giving them. Just like rip open these pomegranates and eat the seeds. You have them out. There's the tiniest film of fruit around just a seed, just a thing that you would spit out if you were eating an orange, you know, just a texture ruining the subtle flavor, just a little bit of of a squirt of juice that happens when you bite into these horrible, gritty seeds. Like, what a dumb fruit the pomegranate is. I think the fruit in the Garden of Eden was a pomegranate, by the way, and I'm not the only one. They haven't really gone on about it that much, but I know they will. This is like the fruit of the figs, for sure. Figs, yes. Olives, they love that. But these pomegranates, like, get over it. There are better fruits. God should have given them better fruits. Pomegranates are dumb. You're done eating them and your hands are purple. They don't even look good. If it was the fruit, I don't even believe it could be the fruit, because Eve saw the fruit and it was pleasing to the eye, because it looks like this hard purple tit with a very strange, sharp nipple, I guess, that's coming out. It's just a very strange fruit. That's what they get, and they're going to eat it without scarcity. Beware, lest you forget Yahweh your God in not keeping his commandments, his ordinances, and his statutes, which I command you today, lest when you have eaten and are full, and have built fine houses and lived in them, and when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and your gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, then your heart might be lifted up, and you forget Yahweh your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, who led you through the great and terrible wilderness with venomous snakes and scorpions and thirsty ground where there was no water, who poured water for you out of the rock of flint, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers didn't know, that he might humble you, and that he might prove you to do good at your latter end, and lest you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand has gotten me this wealth. But you shall remember Yahweh your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth, and that he may establish his covenant, which he swore to your fathers, as it is today. It's kind of like this idea that God is the God of the downtrodden, not in a nice way, not in the way that like, oh, he's there for those who are suffering, but it's more like you can believe in the God when you're suffering. Like that's when they can manipulate you to believe in this God. You'll need just something, anything to believe in when you're being tortured, when you're in the wilderness and you're wandering and you have nothing and you're starving and you're dehydrated and so you're losing your mind. At that point, you're going to believe in Yahweh, obviously, because you're desperate. But once everything's going well for you, no one's going to believe this nonsense, right? Why would you? You don't have the same need. And so it's like, don't forget the time when you were desperate, because like you could be desperate again. But it's also this prosperity gospel, which is interesting. How early we see this move. It's neat reading the Bible from the beginning, because we see those sorts of points where Christians use the stuff that's happening here to manipulate even today. To give you a couple of examples, back in Genesis, we got the story of the servant going to get Rebekah. And when he goes to get Rebekah, he goes, is she going to come with me right now? And they're like, we'd like to keep her for a week. And he's like, God kind of is asking me to bring her to Isaac, though. It's not really my idea. I've got God on my side. God has laid it on my heart. God has revealed you to me. This is God who is telling you to do this. People do it right now. There's somebody right now manipulating somebody by saying, God wants me to marry you, just because he wants to marry her. So he's like, I know she's a devout Christian. I'll just say that God has laid it on my heart. You know the language. If you know the language, you can do the manipulation. It's not hard, guys. It's not hard, and they'll lie. There's no stopping a Christian from lying. There's no reason for them not to lie, because they probably don't even believe this crap. The second example that I'm thinking of happened with Jacob when he was leaving Laban and he had married Leah and Rachel. And Laban goes, okay, don't marry any more daughters. Jacob's also sleeping with their slaves, their slave girls, to make more babies. But he's saying, don't marry any more daughters. And I'm not going to be around to keep my eye on you, but God will be watching. This is the first time we see God being used as Santa Claus, essentially. But now we get this other one, which is like, your wealth comes from God. He's the one that gives you the power to get wealth. Money comes from God. We're going to learn that the love of money is the root of all evil. But what's important to notice now is that money comes from God. Be faithful to the cult. That's how you've gotten your wealth, and that's how you will keep your wealth. So keep paying in, because they are giving the animals to the priests. They're giving tithes, like that's already happening. There's a lot of money going to them. And they're like, even though you're wealthy, you're up there. Come on, stay. Hey. There's only one reason you're wealthy, and that's God. It starts really early. It's interesting to see it all the way back here. And it's always the gross stuff. The love stuff that we get in the future is not here. What's here is follow the law. And if you do, I'll love you. If you don't, I'm going to hate you. And I'm going to punish you. And I'm going to kill you. So that changes, but all the manipulation stuff and stuff. Hey, day one, guys, day one. This cult has always been built on control. It shall be, if you shall forget Yahweh your God and walk after other gods and serve them and worship them, I testify against you today that you shall surely perish. As the nations the Yahweh makes to perish before you, so you shall perish, because you wouldn't listen to Yahweh your God's voice. Guys, listen to the voice. I swear we've read this chapter, the last 3 chapters. Like, they're just repeating stuff at this point. And I know the Bible always does it, but it's like little new good idea. You're going to keep getting wealth if you stay wealthy, but you keep following the laws. You're going to get the good food and good land that we're going to give you. It's full of water and springs. But keep following the statutes. And if you don't, I'm going to kill you like we're going to kill them. So just keep following the statutes. Stay in line, guys, or you're going to end up like the Canaanites. And we're just about to genocide them. So that's what happens in these situations, all right? Thanks. Well, what a chapter. What a chapter. I love finding, I'm going to call them Easter eggs. I love finding Easter eggs, just like man doesn't live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of Yahweh's mouth. I love that. I love that little Easter egg. And when it's in the context, what it would mean there and how terrifying it is, and just how blatantly untrue, keeping in mind that we do live by bread, like we do eat bread. And I know that maybe there's a metaphor there, but we also do not live by the word of Yahweh. Like all the word, every word, we ignore most of them. This is just blatantly untrue. And that's great. Just another reason to not believe the Bible, which is fantastic. So I love that. I hate the prosperity gospel. I hate it. I hate taking advantage of people, stealing from them, giving them nothing in return, and doing nothing good with their money. I hate that. It's so brutal. I hate it. I hate seeing unhoused people outside of cathedrals. I hate it. I hate that they're just not doing anything with it. And you can see the renovations going on in these super, super rich, ornate, incredibly fancy works of art. Like they are, like it's gaudy, but it's pun intended, but it is a work of art. But at the same time, it's like, for what? For what when there are people that are just like dying and suffering and starving? Like, why? Take care of that first and then do the other thing, right? And you're celebrating this lie that perpetuates so much harm. And it's just like, ugh, this sucks so bad. So I hate every version of the prosperity gospel. I hate when poor people give all sorts of money to a church so they get rich, and the richer are getting richer, and they're just preaching this garbage. I hate it. So I hate that that's in there in this particular way. I know it's not on the nose. We're going to see that more in the future with the poor woman that gave a couple of shekels or whatever. And, she's so blessed because she gives all of her wealth to something so entirely useless. But anyway, that's the chapter. Deuteronomy chapter 8. Guys, we'll see you next time. Listen, subscribe, like the video, leave a comment. Bye.